It all began with a glimmer on August 6, 2025. A moment so quiet, so sterile in a lab, and yet so deeply unsettling in its implications. The James Webb Space Telescope, the most powerful observatory in human history, was forced into emergency override mode. Not for a supernova, not for a black hole, but for something far more local and far more terrifying, a comet, or at least something that looked like one. It was designated 3I Atlas. At first, it was assumed to be another interstellar wanderer. Cold, silent, and predictable. But when Webb sensors locked on and the first wave of data poured in, what they captured wasn't just unexpected. It was impossible. The chemical signature didn't fit any natural model. The ratios were grotesque, the elements mismatched, the behavior erratic. And as the numbers kept arriving, one fear quietly threaded through the minds of every astrophysicist watching the feed. What if this isn't a comet at all? What if this is something sent? The first sign that something was terribly wrong came from the comet's coma, the bright envelope of gas surrounding its nucleus. Normally, at 6 astronomical units from the Sun, a comet should be asleep, frozen, inert. The sunlight out there is too weak to cause any meaningful outgassing. But 3I Atlas was already active, violently so. James Webb picked up spectral lines dominated not by water vapor, as expected, but by carbon dioxide, 8 times more than water. That ratio, 8:1, was not just unusual. It was unprecedented. Typical comets barely reach 0.7. Even Borisov, the last interstellar visitor, hovered around 0.5. This was something else, a body spewing carbon dioxide at a rate that couldn't be explained by temperature or solar proximity. It was as if the object had been designed to vent this exact compound under conditions where nature wouldn't permit it. Even stranger, the coma was ghostly thin. Almost no dust, no solid debris, no typical chaos, just gas. Controlled, smooth, and highly specific gas emissions hinting at a different kind of chemistry, one alien to our understanding of comet formation. As Webb locked in deeper, the story turned darker. Its sensors picked up something even more disturbing: nickel. Strong, consistent nickel spectral lines appeared across the ultraviolet and near-infrared bands. Not traces, not anomalies, but powerful, clear, repetitive signals. Nickel lines stacked perfectly above the background, rising in concentration the closer the object came. At 3.8 astronomical units, the output was already measuring above 10 to the 21st atoms per second. By 2.85 astronomical units, it had increased by an entire order of magnitude. But the shock wasn't the presence of nickel. It was what was missing: iron. Across all instruments, from Webb to the Very Large Telescope to Gemini, iron was absent. Flat. Dead. No signal, no trace, not even noise. And that's not normal. In every natural comet and meteorite ever recorded, nickel and iron are partners. Their ratio is tightly coupled, 1 part nickel to 15 parts iron, always. Until now. 3I Atlas broke this rule in the most violent way possible. Nickel outweighed iron by more than 40:1. There's no known natural process that can create such a split. In labs, separating these metals takes energy, machinery, intent. And here, drifting silently through space, was an object doing it passively, or maybe not passively at all. Even before the chemical signatures were fully decoded, something else caught the eye of the tracking networks. 3I Atlas was accelerating, but not like a comet would. It was too far from the Sun, too cold for sublimation jets to generate that much momentum. Yet, over just 72 hours, the object's velocity increased by 0.12 meters per second squared. That might sound small, but for a body 11 kilometers wide, the size of a city, that acceleration is immense, like watching a cruise ship pick up speed in the middle of a dead calm ocean without engines. The change wasn't smooth either. Analysts observed micro-jumps, jittery flickers layered over the main arc of motion, as if something inside was turning on and off again. Attempts to explain it through outgassing, fractured crusts, or solar winds failed. None could match the rhythm. None could explain the regularity, because it was regular. Every 7.2 hours, 3I Atlas brightened sharply, predictably, like a lighthouse. The brightness curve wasn't chaotic like tumbling debris. It was locked clockwork. Some suggested a sheet-like surface catching sunlight. Others proposed a hollow rotating frame. But one thing was clear: this wasn't a rock. It was something moving with precision. And here's where the science began to tremble. Because when everything is ruled out, sublimation, randomness, chaotic structure, what remains is a possibility no one wants to face. That 3I Atlas is engineered. Perhaps it's debris. A fragment. A derelict vessel from a civilization that died before Earth grew forests. But maybe it's something worse. Something alive. A probe still active. A mechanism still responding. A system that sees us and doesn't care, following a trajectory not set by nature, but by design. Because no comet should wake up in the deep freeze, emit metallic nickel without iron, accelerate without fuel, and spin with mechanical rhythm. And yet here it was, doing all of that in front of our best instruments, with no effort to hide. The James Webb override wasn't just a technical reaction. It was a whisper of panic, an unspoken consensus that this isn't normal. That this might be the first time we are looking directly at alien machinery. And even if we are wrong, the simple fact that we can't tell the difference anymore, that alone is the warning. As the acceleration data sparked debate across observatories, a new stream of information emerged: the light curve. Photometric data from Gemini South revealed a periodic brightening every 7.2 hours. That alone wouldn't be unusual. Many comets and asteroids reflect sunlight in repeating patterns. But this was no chaotic tumble. The brightness spikes were too clean, too exact. They appeared and vanished like a beacon, on and off at perfect intervals. Even when gas emissions increased and the object accelerated, this light rhythm didn't change. It held its cycle like a metronome. Some theorized it could be a light sail, a wide reflective structure designed to catch solar radiation. Others proposed a rotating platform with flat panels. All agreed the behavior didn't match any known natural object. This wasn't a spin. It was a signal, a mechanical pulse. And with every pass, it whispered the same message to Earth: I am not what you think I am. The moment everything shifted came not from the object, but from the people observing it. On August 6th, ground-based observatories sent an alert to the Webb Control Center. CO2 emissions were off the charts. Metallic readings spiked. Velocity curves made no gravitational sense. That's when the emergency override activated, a rare protocol diverting Webb from its long-term mission to investigate a single anomaly, a move that burns fuel, time, and budget, only executed a handful of times since launch. Within minutes, the telescope pivoted. Its instruments recalibrated, and it locked onto 3I Atlas with the NIRPC instrument. The first packets of data weren't just strange, they were historic. The spectra didn't show icy comet fingerprints. They revealed carbon chemistry so extreme, so volatile, that every known solar system body looked tame by comparison. The override wasn't just a scientific choice. It was a silent alarm. The most advanced telescope ever built had paused the cosmos to chase a machine. The deeper scientists dove into the data, the stranger it became. The CO2 to water ratio was completely out of line. Nickel was everywhere, iron was gone. Every cross-check came back clean. Ultraviolet spectrograph teams searched a dozen known iron lines. None appeared. Nickel, by contrast, lit up the spectrum like a floodlight. The only known process capable of such separation in a lab requires high energy, industrial pressure, and precise control. The team proposed the presence of nickel carbonyl, a volatile compound vaporizing at just 43 degrees Celsius. Even this molecule doesn't explain the total absence of iron. The result was a spectral fingerprint that matched nothing, neither Borisov nor Oumuamua. Not even the faintest comparison could be made. A chemical composition so skewed, so deliberate, that even the most conservative scientists asked, what kind of world, or what kind of technology could form this? The strangest part didn't come from space, it came from Earth. Ancient artifacts hint at high nickel metals from the sky. Egyptian tombs, Babylonian texts, and relics older than cities show metals richer in nickel than any earthly ore. Metals that fell, flashed, and inspired awe and fear alike. And now, in 2025, we are seeing the same signature in the sky. Could those artifacts have been fragments of something that had passed by before? Could 3I Atlas be the next chapter in a story humanity barely understands? As scientists analyzed the emissions, a researcher at Caltech noticed a subtle, consistent electromagnetic rhythm in thermal data, a frequency too regular to be random, yet too faint to be an intentional broadcast. When sonified, it revealed a repeating beat, prime intervals, Fibonacci ratios, geometric harmonics, structures echoing DNA, crystals, and ancient architecture. Not alive, not language, but a breadcrumb trail, a cosmic fingerprint embedded in the object itself. Days later, geophysicists in the southern hemisphere detected anomalies in Earth's magnetic field. ULF pulses were recorded in Antarctica, Argentina, and Western Australia, perfectly matching the 7.2-hour light curve of 3I Atlas. They didn't follow solar storms or lightning. They seemed to come from within the Earth, mirroring the thermal frequency hidden in the object's emissions. History, it seemed, was awakening. The object's trajectory also shocked scientists. Its path didn't drift. It navigated, avoiding every major body with precision, like a spacecraft following a pre-programmed course. Simulations comparing the trajectory with planetary slingshot maneuvers revealed a 92.6% match with engineered flight paths. And its path intersected a narrow corridor just beyond Saturn, theorized as a gravity null point, a corridor implying deliberate navigation. Then, it went dark. As Webb prepared high-resolution scans, 3I Atlas emissions ceased. Nickel lines dimmed. CO2 outflow slowed. The light curve flattened. Within 11 hours, every observable behavior stopped. Instruments worldwide confirmed it. Gemini, Subaru, the Very Large Telescope, all saw the same silence. Not a natural fade. A shutdown. But the story didn't end there. Trajectory models revealed the impossible. It altered course subtly toward a zone between Earth and Venus, a region known for stable gravitational dynamics and recent satellite signal interference. Radar facilities Goldstone, Arecibo, and the Chinese Fast Array confirmed this adjustment. No comet, no natural object, performed such a maneuver. It was deliberate. Meanwhile, AI analysis of emissions revealed a multi-dimensional helix pattern, similar to early biological structures. Not life, but a template, a chemical broadcast. Was Earth or Mars preconditioned to receive this code? Radar pings to the far side of the Moon returned early, modulated signals, matching the intervals seen from 3I Atlas. Lunar data archives revealed a pattern faintly detected during Oumuamua in 2017. This wasn't a visitor. It was a trigger. 2 weeks later, Webb quietly resumed its deep field observations. But anomalies appeared. Faint rhythmic dimming, low-frequency flux. Synchronized across galactic coordinates, all aligned with 3I Atlas trajectory. The object wasn't just emitting. It was part of a relay, a beacon, or a countdown. The ripple had gone galactic. And now, humanity faces an unspoken truth. 3I Atlas wasn't broadcasting a message. It was running a sequence. Altering gravity. Echoing from the Moon. Triggering Earth itself. Not our first contact. Perhaps not contact at all. More like recalibration. What if it wasn't designed to engage us, but to awaken something else? To test a link, deliver a code, confirm a connection? And once complete, it simply stopped. Blending into silence. Into the system. Into places we no longer look. And that is the final horror. Not that we saw something alive, but that we witnessed machinery far older than humanity completing a task we cannot comprehend. Whatever comes next was set into motion long before we built our first telescope. The next object won't knock. It will just arrive. Turn on notifications, because when the sky answers back, you won't want to miss it. Share this story with someone who still thinks space is empty. And tell us in the comments, do you believe 3i Atlas is the beginning or the continuation of something we already missed? Sometimes, the scariest discoveries aren't the ones we see. They're the ones that were waiting for us to look. If you want, I can also create a slightly shorter ultra watch time optimized version that trims repetitive phrasing but keeps every key suspense beat, perfect for YouTube retention spikes. Do you want me to do that next?